Well, I've gotten some requests from people wanting me to put up some flint knapping videos, and it's been a while since I have, so I figured, what the heck, why not? I'll do it today. For flint knapping, a lot of people have asked me, where do you find flint? And a lot of times that can be difficult. Flint can be difficult to find if you don't know what you're looking for. And also if you do find it, a lot of times it can be tough to chip. One of the best things to learn on is glass. It's common, you can find it anywhere, it's cheap, it's plentiful, and it works much easier than flint does. So I got this bottle from some idiot, decided he's going to drink his beer and throw it out on the side of the road and litter. But luckily I came by, picked it up, and got it, and I'm going to show you guys how to chip the bottoms of these bottles into arrowheads. Now, first things first, you want to put your safety glasses on, and then you want to get a nail, any kind of galvanized nail. This is one I found in my basement. Put that down inside the bottle, point first. You put your thumb over the top of the bottle and then shake. Well, as you can see, it fragmented this bottom a little bit. Not really what I had in mind, but that's okay. We've got plenty here that we can work with and make into points. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to knock off these edges here and get this piece flat. So I'm going to take my hammer stone and just carefully chip along this edge. Also want to dull it a little bit. Any of these overhanging corners, you want to get those off of there. So one thing you'll notice with this is, and this is common with a lot of bottle bottoms, is that you've got a little bit of kind of a curved shape to it. It's convex on one side and cupped or concave on the other. Now, what a lot of people will do when they first start making these into arrowheads is they'll chip on the convex side, the rounded side. You don't want to do that. You want to actually, that will perpetuate this curved profile. We want to get this thing as flat and as straight as possible. And in order to do that, we need to flake on this convex side, or sorry, concave side, the cupped side. So what we're going to do is set these edges up to send some flakes on this bottom side and flatten this piece out. So what I'll normally do for this is just, I'll take a hammer stone and kind of grind this edge. I'm pressing down on this edge, sort of shearing this edge. And this takes off lots of little short flakes very quickly and easily. Instead of doing it by pressure, you'll be here all day if you have to do this with a pressure flaker. Now grind it, just to dull it, all the way along its perimeter. I'm not trying to flake it, I'm just trying to dull those edges. Now, take my antler flaker, push it on that edge. I'm going to push in and down. Move next to it, in and down. And what I'm doing is flaking on this bottom side, removing this cup and flattening this piece out. So we just took a series of flakes off this, and you can already see it's starting to flatten out. When I flake these overhangs here, flattens this piece out. Now I've got a sharp edge all the way around, however, except for this spot where it broke off the bottle, it's kind of a square edge. It's not a real good thing to strike on. So what we're going to do is I'll show you how to get through this and working this square edge off using a zigzag pattern. So the way we'll start this is, here's the edge of the square edge, and I'm going to flake down and remove a flake, and what that'll do is that'll sharpen this edge, and then I'll flip this piece over, rub it to dull it. You don't want to crush that edge. Dulling it strengthens it. And then I take this and I'll use this edge right here, and I'm going to push in and down, but I'm pushing down along this way. So when that flake pops off, which it did right there, you can see every time I take a flake off, it thins that square edge and sets me up for the next flake removal. So I'm rubbing the inside there, trying to dull it. It's good and dull. Then I'll push in and down. And you see what we're doing here is we are doing the zigzag where I flake one side, flip it over, flake the other way, and I continue that back and forth all the way along that edge until I remove that square edge. And there we go. So after not very long at all, maybe a minute or so, I've gotten that edge worked off there, that square edge. Now you've noticed that I've been using a rather dull antler flaker. As you get closer to the finished piece and the piece becomes more refined, I want to switch over to a finer flaker with a sharper point. I need very precise pressure applied to this point, and a larger, duller flaker will tend to overstress the point and you can break your piece. So as you get the point more refined and further shaped, switch to a smaller, sharper antler flaker like this. You can also see that the profile is getting much flatter. It's not nearly as curved as it was before. And that's from strategic flake removals, not taken from the rounded side. Now, when we do take flakes off that rounded side, they're going to travel very easily across that surface because of the contour and further flatten this piece down. And that one went halfway across. That one went almost all the way across. So after careful flaking and strategic flake removals, we finally got the point finished. And it looks really good. It's thin, it's flat, straight, and got really sharp edges. Now all we need to do is finish this point off with the notches. And when it comes to notching, I prefer to do my notching on a table or a flat bench. It gives me a lot more control and a lot less chance for breakage. Some guys, they actually have seen them notch on their legs or on their knees, but I've never developed a skill. And so, like I said, I prefer a flat table. It just gives me a lot more control. Now for notching, I like to use this flat deer antler tine. It's just shaved in half, flat like a popsicle stick. Gives me the strength I need for notching, but the narrowness to get nice narrow notches. This is basically just pressure flaking, just in one localized area. So, like with all other flaking, you want to prepare your edges. So I press down like that, kind of crunch out a little indentation to bring that edge down below center line. I'm going to push in and down, and there's the flake that popped off. reset your edge. And then I'm going to pop another flake off here. Again, in and down pressure. Well, that happens. Just broke the base right off of that. It's okay. It's going to be a smaller arrow point. And then just come back up here. Do the same thing. Set your edge up. In and down pressure. Crunch it out. You want room in there for your tool. You want to make sure that your notch is not too narrow, and that may have been what just happened with that last one that caused that failure. Try to even it up here, get it as symmetrical as I can, although symmetry doesn't really mean a more effective arrowhead. Looks pretty good there. Hard to film and do this at the same time. That might have been another thing. I was more focusing on the camera instead of my flint napping. Just gonna do a real quick flaking on that base. Though I broke the point during notching and had to shorten its overall length, don't let its small size fool you. This point is well formed, thin, and extremely sharp, and points of this size are deadly for both large and small game animals.